Okay then, guys, welcome to episode 2 of our SoccerRockz podcasts, where we're chatting to footballers from now, footballers from previous years, but lots of people connected to Coventry City Football Club. And I'm going to, instead of ramble on, bring our guest in straight away. So I'd like to introduce you, Scott Shearer. How you doing, mate?
Yeah, all good, mate. Healthy, which is the main thing.
Fantastic. So, Scott, we're going to go through a few little bits. Kieran's obviously throwing a few little questions in there about your football career and whatnot. I'm going to concentrate on some of the good times that we've had together over the years and some of the laughs. I'm going to keep it as nice and civilised as I possibly can.
Yeah.
Kieran, how are you doing, mate?
Yeah, I'm good. How you been? You hear me?
Yeah, good. Thanks, Stephen, mate. Good, mate.
We just tumbleweeded, you know.
I got there.
So how you been, Shears? What you been up to? How you been sort of concentrating on lockdown and
yes,
looking after yourself?
To be fair, I'm enjoying it. I don't mind it. Obviously, we've got to do what we've got to do just now. It's not necessarily about yourself; it's about others. So. That's the main thing. To be fair, I was ill when it first really started, and I was wiped out for a good 10 days. I don't know, obviously, if it was COVID or if it was just illness, but since then I've been good, mate. Yeah, I've spoke to you previously, obviously, about what my next career step is now, and it's just been really busy with that, which is we've been able to continue that through like this, like Zoom and other streams, so it's been good. It's kept me busy.
It's a different world now for people like Kieran who kind of keep the world ticking over, mate.
I know. I mean, I'm useless with this stuff. Like, you were sending me a link there on WhatsApp, and I was like, I need to get this on my laptop. I don't even know how to do that. So yeah, I'm with you, Kieran. You're a god, mate.
So, Shears, we're gonna just kind of skim through your career a little bit and come to the end bits and what you're up to now a little bit further on in. But just start us off, what we always like to talk about is that sort of transition into junior football and local football, and then when you kind of realised that it was going to be something that would potentially be your career for the next 20 years.
Yeah. So for me, it was like totally different in the sense that. Through my boys club years, etc., all my teammates went on, like, as it was known, schoolboy forms back then.
Yeah.
They all got YTSs, so straight from school they all went into professional clubs, and I think I was the only one from my teams that didn't get chosen.
Really?
So it was like it was the start of the whole roller coaster journey, as they say football is. You know, the rejection, and how do you deal with that rejection? And obviously, at a young age, I think it was a lot easier to handle back then because you thought, I don't know, maybe myself personally, I get kicked down, but I got up quite easy, and I was like, no, I'm not going to accept this. So I went to college, and I was continuing to play sort of, you know, boys club football into like under 18s, etc. And then from that, I just continued, and then I went into work I was working as a lifeguard full time. And
Hasselhoff.
Yeah. 2 years in college, and then I went Big Dave for a year. And it was a nightmare, mate, because you say that when do you realise that it could be your career? I don't think then you realise. You don't think of a career, you just think, I love playing football, this is what I want to do. I've dreamt about this and I'm not going to give up on it. And so for myself, I was working full time as a big hoff, and then I'd have to swap. So I'd have to work every Sunday because I'd have to swap my Saturday shifts for somebody's Sunday shift so I could go and play my game. And I've told a few people this story. I always remember my manager at the time pulling me in the office, and he was like, Scott, I mean, when are you going to realise you're being stupid doing this? Like, you know, just give up. Like, really? and if you work hard, like in 2 or 3 years' time, you know, you might be sitting in my chair. I was just like, and I remember looking at him back then, and I think my actual words were, that's the last thing that I want from my life, is to be sitting in your chair. So that didn't go down too well to start with. And then So then obviously didn't listen to him, continued, and then I really got lucky. And it's all perception, obviously, because at the time I actually had to take a wage cut to go into full-time football from being a lifeguard. So it was like
some lifeguard, mate.
Oh, Jesus, was I? I kept it down to one death a week, so it was good. But no, so then it was that case. I went. Obviously, there was no choice needed. It was like, this is my step, and this is what I've been dreaming of. And then I signed for Albion Rovers, and then again setbacks. I don't think people realise the amount of setbacks you get in football. I think it's becoming more apparent now with like people opening up and speaking up. But I mean, my first day of my very first pre-season, I rolled my ankle ligaments and I was out for a month. And then you're playing catch up. And back then you didn't have medical support really or anything. We had this guy who came in and sort of put ice on you and said, yeah, you're fit. So, I mean, it was
magic sponge.
Yeah, it was a shambles really. So I was going back in to try and do it again. I think he told me after 3 weeks I could do it, go running again. First day running again, done my ankle ligaments again. So it was like the setbacks were like bang straight away. How do you deal with these? So, and to be fair, and it put me in the back foot, because then the other goalkeeper went on to do really well, and he had 2 really good seasons, and I didn't really get a look in. So I had this 2-year contract, and I thought, I wonder where this is going to go. We just missed out in promotion back then, and then in the 3rd season, I signed another contract, and a new manager came in, and he preferred me, and then it was like, right, wow. And from that moment on, it was like, people will say throughout their careers, when you get that confidence from a manager, it doesn't matter what age you are. You could be in your late 30s and you get told you've done well, and I think we can all agree that getting positive feedback from someone makes you feel good. So this manager was good with me. I mean, this was in Scotland, and it was old school. So we used to have to go to training every morning. It was a group of young lads. We had to carry these goals, and it was like a mile uphill to get to the public park where we could put the goals down. Do you know what I mean? And he would always, because at that point I started getting touted about, and I was doing well, and this club's looking at me, that club's looking at me, and I used to always remember him shouting, "Make sure Shearer carries the bar," because that was the heaviest, right? And I'd be like, but he would always keep me grounded, wouldn't let me go anywhere. He'd make sure that I was doing all the crap jobs, and it was horrible, but it was lessons. Do you know what I mean? It was like these life lessons that you get as a younger pro. I don't really feel that younger pros get nowadays. But yeah, and then went on trials everywhere, and like got offered contracts, and then I was meant to sign for Celtic, and I remember getting a phone call. It was at Christmas time. I was like, Jesus Christ, my family's season ticket holders still to this day. I was like, God, my dad's going to cry his eyes out when he hears this. So I told him, and then all of a sudden Celtic made it through the Champions League group stage into the next stage. And Martin O'Neill at the time said, can't really sign him. I need someone more experienced because we're in the Champions League.
Yeah.
And that was another setback straight away. You're like my dream. That was my dream move.
Yeah, yeah.
So luckily there was a coach at Celtic at the time, and he was good mates with Eric Black, like really close mates with Eric Black, who was assistant at Coventry at the time. And he phoned up Eric and he said, Eric, I swear to God, you need to look at this guy. I think he could work for you, because they knew that Coventry were looking for a goalkeeper. So Gary McAllister was the manager at the time. So it flown down, had a week's trial. And you know me, I wasn't a shy boy. And I just get in. Obviously, I had Hodgie as well, who was a massive part of my career in the short space I had him. But yeah, he again just got that belief, and he made me believe that I could be more than what I thought I could be. And after that week, Gary McAllister was like, "We want to do something." And I remember saying to him, "Look, just put anything in front of me, I'll sign it." Like, it could be 20 quid a week. I don't care. I'll sign it. And then managed to sort it out. 100%. I was the lowest paid player at the club, but it wasn't about that then. Like you didn't even think of money then, to be honest, did you?
Yeah.
Yeah. And then that was that. So, I mean, that's really the start of it for me. But again, like throughout that, so many highs and lows.
So, Shears, can I just jump in now with you a little bit?
Yeah.
So just going back to, obviously, before you come over and Celtic and whatnot, and you've kind of, you were born in Glasgow, I'm right in saying, aren't I?
Yep.
So you kind of, did you see yourself sort of becoming quite a prominent figure in the Albion Rovers team, and realising then that you were going to be, I mean, you're quite a big lad, aren't you? What, you're 6'4"?
Yeah.
So have you always been kind of like physically being able to, stick out and...
I've always been like that for a young lad.
Yeah, because a lot of the time, I mean, you find it now in football, you kind of, goalkeepers especially, not very often do you have a goalie who's under 6 foot, do you?
Yeah.
So obviously that's initially going into your favour. But yeah, just going on what you've said, I mean, having known you for so long, you're a big presence.
Be nice.
You're 6'4". You've got shoulders like you'd struggle to get through most doors and whatnot. So I would imagine, taking one look at you, Gary McAllister must have thought, you know what, he's we could be onto a good thing here.
Yeah, I think it was more Hodgie, to be honest, mate. Gary McAllister was brilliant. One thing that I felt that he was good at, because I think it was because he was still a player at the time as well, and he couldn't see everything. So he put a lot of trust in Eric, who was unbelievable. Put a lot of trust in Eric, and then he put a lot of trust in Hodgie. He asked them for their advice and their input, and it was Hodgie that. So I mean, I remember training with Monty. You remember Monty?
Yeah.
I remember doing
a
session with Monty, and I mean, I was raw. I'd never been coached ever in my life before this. So I'd never been to a goalie coach or anything. And I remember doing Hodgie's drills, and I was doing it to just fatigue, and he could see that I had nothing left. And my technique was all over the place. I was an absolute project, right?
Really?
And I remember diving into the post and headbutting the post, but just getting up because I had that much sort of adrenaline going through me. I was just desperate to be a professional goalkeeper. And
the club were in the Championship at the time, weren't they?
Yeah. So this was 2003-04.
Yeah.
Yeah, and never in a million years did I thought, even though I had confidence in myself, I realised the step was ginormous from Albion Rovers. It was like League 2 level in Scotland, which is nowhere near the level, to Championship. I was like, Jesus Christ, this is going to be a big step. I don't know if I'm going to be able to just step straight into it. Yeah. I don't know if I need to train and get used to the sort of the intensity and everything.
So who else was at the club then? Because obviously I met you through Gary, Sheffrey, Craig Peed, that sort of circle of friends. I left the club in 2000, just after that. And I remember Peeds coming to see me and was chatting, and him saying, "This guy's absolutely mad as a fish," but he says he's great fun. And but I know that at the time, and not many people will really know this, but there was the card schools were in full effect, weren't they? I remember. Tell us a little bit about that, mate.
So, like I said, I was probably the lowest paid player in the club, right? So it's but again, you're in this squad, and you've got Richard Shaw, Big Mo Conyers, you've got Page, you've got Dava, Callum Davenport, you get Chefs. Well, Chefs wasn't really involved at the time. He came back in a little bit later, and because he was part of that group at the time, they were trying to get out, Safri.
Move on.
You got them. You had Steve Staunton, you had Dealey Adebola. I mean, these are players that, I had been watching on TV.
Yeah, established Premier League players, weren't they?
Yeah, and the type of person I am, I like to be involved. So I'm at the back of the bus, and there's card games going on. I've never played cards in my life, and I remember this time, right? So I would literally be all in on a 2, a 4, and an 8. just try and bluff everybody, and then they just know it.
So it's 3 card brag then, yeah?
Brag was a card game, yeah. And Page was good. Peach was decent, to be fair. But obviously, I mean, some of the card hands would go up and I'd be like, Jesus Christ, this is like getting too close to a week's wages for me. And I remember being like, thinking, because obviously I've not earned big money. Like the money I was on, like you could earn working a decent job. Do you know what I mean? So if I was earning big dough, so I was like, oh my God, what am I doing here? So I remember this on the way to a game, and I had got Queen King Ace, like same suit, Swanacker, right? And I was like, didn't realise how good a hand that was. Still didn't have a clue. And I remember it was down to me and Dealey, and this hand was going up and going up and going up, and I was absolutely petrified. And this is before a game, and I swear to God, my heart was jumping through my top, and I'm like, and it was going up to like, 4 figures.
Was
like
it?
The hand, and for me that was just stupid because I wasn't earning that amount then. So I was like, but I thought to myself, I've got a good hand here. But then the more it was going up, and Dealey was just playing me because he was obviously experienced at it, and he probably knew what I was like. And I remember it got to, I can't remember what the figure was, but it was thousands. And I swear to God, I'm thinking I'm going to have to take a loan out here if this guy's beating me. I need to go and take a loan out. And then I called him because I was that scared, right? Called him, and I was miles ahead of him.
Really?
And like, I never seen that money off Dealey. Let's get that straight right now. So if Dealey's watching this, he never sorted me out. But at that point, mate, I realised I am not a gambling person. I don't like the thought of losing money.
Yeah.
So as much as it's always nice winning the money, but you need to lose more to win.
Yeah.
So it was that moment that I thought, I'm just going to sit and watch these cards now. And I mean, but then not long after that, Gary Mack, like I think he sort of seen it happening, and he came up and he was like, right, I'm banning all card games before games.
Yeah.
So he stopped because obviously people were going out onto the pitch after losing, like, even if you're losing 100 quid, you're still losing money, and it still gets you into the wrong frame of mind. Do you know what I mean? You're meant to be going out into the absolute optimum state of mind to go and win a football match. So
and you're 500 quid down in a card game before you
minimum you could be that in a hand. So I was like, nah, I'm staying well clear of this. Left it to them lot. But Page was quite good.
Was it?
He was decent. I think it was these rat features that just put everybody off. Yeah.
Do you remember that little Shears? Do you remember the squeeze he had where he'd sit there and he'd like squeeze them cards dead tight?
It'd be like moving a millimetre. He'd love it. Yeah. But
good times though, mate. Do you look back on your days at Cov and you obviously enjoyed them, yeah? Because you made, I mean, what was the season? Was it 03-04? You made nearly 40 appearances or something?
I made about 30. I think I made 33 that year, which was, I mean, I'll be honest with you, mate. Right, I look back at it and I think, oh God, I wish I could have done more, and like, not done more, but I don't think I fully grasped. Like, I get sort of caught in a whirlwind in a way, because it was the first time I'd been away from family, even though I had people there looking after me. Do you know what I mean? I had obviously I'd met yourself. But then I had George Pete, who was at the club. I had Andy Harvey at the club. They were like trying to look after
good people.
you. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? And it was like, but when I was used to living at my parents' house and everything like that, and then
it's a big move, isn't it? Like a lot of the boys when they move down from Scotland or move over from Ireland and whatnot, it's they need that support around them, don't they? It's a very big move to come over and.
Massive.
Yeah.
Because obviously, I mean, you imagine this. I went from playing for Albion Rovers to just, it was like, that was basically like amateur football. Yeah. It was a poor standard. But I managed to get plucked out of that. Somebody seen something in me. And then I'm playing in the championship week in, week out. And I was like, for one, my body couldn't handle it. Like every morning I was on the physio. There was a special bed at Wrighton. And it used
to be a big bed.
it was like stretchy out, right? And I was, every morning I would get in at 8 o'clock, and Michael McBride, the physio, he would put me on this for an hour because my whole back, like my sciatic nerve, was just locked up. So there would be games where my back would lock up during a game, and like it was just the intensity. Like my body hadn't ever worked at that intensity for such a prolonged period of time, like every day, constantly, and my body wasn't ready for it, to be honest with you. So mentally as well, it was difficult. I think I can sort of say that I missed having my family around me, because I mean, I think Doyler was the same. We had Doyler there as well. Doyler was the same. He came over from Ireland, but he'd lived in Scotland when he was at Celtic for a good few years, so he'd been sort of used to it.
Yeah.
Myself, it was just a bit wild, and I got caught up in this whirlwind. Like, oh my God, I was playing in the Championship every week, and then all of a sudden, I'm getting bloody called up for Scotland.
Yeah.
And I remember phoning my dad saying, I don't know what's going on, Dad. I swear to God, like, this is just going over my head. I can't process it.
Did you feel
like,
did you feel kind of like it was, you were faking it a bit? So like, you know, some people feel like, how is this happening? But obviously, you just don't see it yourself.
I think at the time it was just, I couldn't process it. I couldn't actually process it. It's like everything you sort of dream of, and then it's sort of happening in front of your eyes. And back then, like, stuff that I could look back on now and hope and wish that I could have put on myself is like sort of reevaluate, set more goals, set bigger targets, and like do all that. For me, it was like, Jesus Christ, I'm like living my dream right now. This is it. Obviously, I could have went up to say play in the Premier League, but I mean that'd have been like unbelievable. But what I was doing, playing in Cov in the Championship, I mean, I love playing for that club, honest to God, although I get abused a lot. I absolutely loved it. Like, it was incredible. It was probably, I would say it was up there. The 2003-04 season was one of the best years of my life. Because it was just, it was crazy, because then I came down and like, I wasn't homesick one bit. I loved living in that area. I met yourself, I met Peeds, I met Chefs, like Davenport, like, do you know what I mean, Doyler. We had a good group of lads, and it felt like home. I had Andy Harvey bullying me, I had George Peed, you know what I mean, I had these older, like, obviously fathers, and like being there for me, and and I don't know, I look back with not regret, but I just think I could have done more. I could have, like, I don't know. I could have done I could have changed things a little bit. Probably not went out as much.
So Shears, that leaves us on absolutely perfect to a couple of things where I've been in your company, and first one I want to talk to you about is, and you talk about Delia owing you some money. Well, you owe me a pair of sunglasses, mate. And do you want to just talk us through what? I'll just set the scene a little bit. So me and Danielle, my wife, we went to Italy, and we'd gone to Florence for this day out, and it was a lovely day, and it was my birthday, and she said to me, "I want to treat you." So I said, "I'd love some nice new sunglasses." So she brought me these Prada sunglasses. and these Prada sunglasses, do you remember? They had two big stars on either side.
Yes, I do.
They were full of pride and joy. But what did you do with them? Scott?
Let's just set that scene a little bit more, shall we? They basically looked like Stevie Wonder's glasses with a couple of stars on the side. They were horrific, and we used to batter you for them, and you loved these glasses. And then, well, we went to Marbella, didn't we?
Yeah.
On a lad's holiday, 2007 that was. And as we were doing, we were slightly intoxicated, and then all of a sudden we decided it was a good idea to have a wrestle.
We didn't, mate. I think what you decided to do was see how many pairs of sunglasses you could put on at once before you went into the sea.
Yeah, and I think you were trying to get the Pradas off me, weren't you?
I was begging and pleading. I was begging you, please take them off. Please take them off.
And then I think me and Peach started having a wrestle. And then all of a sudden there was no sunglasses on my head, and we were in the ocean. I'm pretty sure I seen a tear coming down your eyes at that point. But to make it even better, so yeah, the story is I lost them, right? Now, at that point, we found that hilarious. Didn't really go into it that obviously Danielle had got you these glasses and they meant so much to you. But then we went out for lunch, I think it was the next day, and we were at the marina and we were sitting having lunch and we see a random guy walking past with these glasses on and we were like, God, that guy's got your Pradas on. And you didn't think twice. You got out your seat, sprinted after this geezer down the marina to see if they were your sunglasses. The geezer, I remember the geezer just looking at you going, nah, mate, they're mine.
What, they were actually the same glasses?
They were the same.
My glasses, mate, I'm telling you, they were
where did you get them? Did you find them in the sea? And this geezer's going, what? Mate, like, go away. Oh, man, that was
so funny. So, Shears, this is another one, and it was the same holiday. But do you remember me, you, Gaz, PD, we went into this nightclub and we were just pottering about the nightclub, having a bit of a laugh. And you were always kind of like, you've always been very old school in your ways. You're pretty like, you know, you're very carefree. You know, you're very down to earth. You're a laugh a minute, but. I
was child free then, mate.
Yeah.
Didn't have any kids, so.
But I just remember that these boys, and they were footballers, young footballers, and they walked into the nightclub, and they were wearing sunglasses in the nightclub, and I think Graham Stack was with us at the time as well, and we were enjoying this night out, and I could just see your personality change, and you were just. You couldn't get your head around people in nightclubs.
I was fuming. What? Like shades in a nightclub?
What have you got against sunglasses, Scott?
Well, usually they're used when the sun's out. That's the whole point, isn't it?
I never forget. I never forget. I just seen the two of you, and obviously Graham Stack's a big lad as well, and you were kind of. Just like two mischievous 6 or 7-year-old kids. And the next thing you know, I just see these two lads sunglasses go flying in the air. And somehow you two have got hold of them. And these poor lads are just going, like, still trying to be as cool as ever. And their sunglasses are now getting trampled on all over the dance.
Yeah, there's some good 2-footers that night. I think that, I mean, yeah, obviously you were more less carefree because you had obviously went into another career at that time. But yeah, that was a very carefree part of my life, and you know what? I would never change any of that because that's just who I am and who I was then, and I love being that way. And it's like, but yeah, I'm very old school. I'm still very old school now, and I think that's part of the reason why I've not been able to stay in football now, because you know, they say if you can't sort of develop and move on with football, like move with it as it evolves, then get out of it. And I realised that, like maybe probably about a year ago to this day, like 2 years ago maybe, I realised that, you know what, I'm not able to really evolve with how it's moving now. Like I really like some old school methods and like the sort of the whole thing behind it, how it makes you sort of become more of a man and a young when you're a young boy. And I feel sorry for kids now going through academies. I really do, because I don't even if you are that mentality, it's sort of squashed and you're sort of told to sort of keep it in, because a lot of academies don't like characters.
Yeah,
you know, they like robots.
Do you think that's do you think that's because of like social media in that now? Like,
I mean, yeah, there's a load now into it. I mean, I think again, young players. For me, when I came to Coventry, I mean, how lucky I was that there was no social media, because some of the idiot things that I used to do, and that's being like just having a laugh, but it's still just being a general 23-year-old idiot, like making mistakes. And I'm so glad that there wasn't anything then to sort of capture it, and then it would still be available now to look at.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It'd still be floating about somewhere. So I feel like younger footballers now, they are sort of restricted in how they can live their life. You see it even with Jack Grealish, like years ago, when he went for a lad's holiday and he was drunk, and it's like he was made to be this bad person, and it's like.
Yeah. And I remember there was a photo of Jack Wilshere smoking a cigarette outside a club, and it was front page of all the newspapers, and it's just they can't get away with nothing.
Yeah, so I do feel for how younger footballers and how it's went now, but obviously there is the upside to it, and I do believe that football has evolved not just in that way, but on the pitch as well now. So if you want to be a top footballer, unfortunately, you have to sacrifice a lot in your life. And that is just part of being it. If you don't want to sacrifice that, then you're not going to be able to get to the top level that you can get to. And that's just the way it is now. So as much as I'm saying, I feel for them, the reward is far greater now with contracts that can be handed out and stuff. So.
Yeah, I think you're dead right. I mean, now you see the boys that are at Chelsea and at the big clubs, and they've not kicked a ball in the Premier League, but you can have £1 million contract, can't you? It's the game's really, really changed. Gaz mentioned it the other day. We had a good chat with Gaz. He was talking about the under-23s and them boys coming through.
Yeah.
But Gaz,
I'd love him to go back to just reserve football.
Yeah, Gaz said as well that you could have a compilation on YouTube of the skill moves you can do, and that's it. A big club will offer, without even looking at you, offer you money just in case you are good, and then they put you into this academy thing, and that's where you're going to stay until we think you're good enough or you're out.
I know, and it's like, how can you make a fuss over an 8, 9, 10-year-old? How can you make such a fuss that? I mean, the way it is now, obviously it's really professional, and I don't know. I just feel it's too much. I feel there's so many younger kids now, like early 20s, saying that they're falling out of love with the game. Do you know what I mean? And I don't know if that's just because it might be something personal to them, or is it because from the ages of 8 they've been in an academy, they've been training 3 nights a week. Games at the weekend. They're not allowed to play with their mates. They're not allowed to play with their school.
It's a huge commitment, isn't it?
Yeah, I know. Yeah. I know someone called Paul Cooper. He's head of the NCFA, the National Children's Football Alliance, and he used to every Sunday he used to run. Get loads of kids and they'd come and play, and then one lad would come every week, and then one day shows up in what team is it around there? I think it's a Cirencester kit. And the dad's like holding him back, like, you're not allowed to play. Just want to show Paul that you've now signed for Cirencester, you can't play here anymore. And the kid is like really upset. He was only about 8 years old.
This is what I mean. I mean, I don't know. I don't see the benefit in the academies. That's what I struggle to see. Because I was towards the end of my career there. Obviously, I was at Oxford. I finished at Oxford, and then I went in for 6 months as like a sort of part-time goalkeeping coach. And I think myself, I might be biased towards goalkeepers, but we're totally different to footballers. We're much better. But I think there's still the element, because we're a smaller group and we're a much closer group, like we're able to keep some old school values. Do you know what I mean? Whereas within a much larger group with far lesser coaches to deal with it, I
think as well with goalkeepers, it's there's one position on the pitch for a goalkeeper, so it's more of a fight or flight a lot of times with goalkeepers. It's like you have to be the best to stay in the team. Whereas you can rotate, you can sort of rotate with an outfield squad.
Yeah, I just think because we are very separate, we'll go away and train on our own, and then when we come in, I used to always make it very clear that I didn't like any of them. You know what I mean? Like we used to call the outfielders civilians. So like we would, especially at Cov, we used to do it. It used to be brilliant. But Yeah, I don't know. I just think but even within the goalkeeping group, like I was looking after 4 young goalkeepers, and bless them, like it just wasn't the same. I just didn't see hunger. Like I didn't see any young kid thinking, do you know what? I'm gonna first of all start training with the first team. Do you know what I mean? That used to be. Do you remember how that used to feel like getting called over to train with the first team?
Do you know what I think? I think with footballers and in general, it's there's so much about the ability, but there's also, I mean, you've touched on it earlier in terms of that desire to be number one, that desire to be better than the person who's in front of you. You know, you watch the things that Steven Gerrard puts out and the way he sort of talks about going into Liverpool and saying, I'm going to be the best. Like, I've not come here to make the numbers up. I've come here to take your place.
Yeah.
And you know, but it's really hard because that, going back to that social media generation and all that kind of, people see the Premier League and the glitz and the glamour and the money and the cars and all that sort of thing. But getting there is one hell of a ride, isn't it? It's you know, you've played, you know, you talk it, you know, yourself, you've played over 30 games championship football, had a great season, and you know, you still haven't made that millions and millions of pounds to be able to go and fly around the world.
I didn't deserve it. I think we're now into as well. Like, it's a whole generational thing where we feel like, of the younger gen. I feel like a younger generation. I sound so old here. Jesus Christ. I do feel there's a proportion of like a younger generation who feel that stuff is owed to them. Yeah. So like, and I'm talking about examples from like the goalkeeping group that I had. I mean, like I said, I was still very old school, and like the academy manager, who was Dan Harris, who used to be at Cov, obviously, when I joined. He was academy strength and conditioning coach back then. And Dan used to be like, Shears, come on, you need to calm down a bit. Like, we can't say certain words. Do you know what I mean? It's got to a stage where it's actually quite pathetic.
Yeah.
You can't like say a swear word in front of an academy kid now, or say it to him.
Yeah.
That might hurt his feelings. And it might make him feel bad.
Well, it would hurt their feelings if they got released, you know.
But you're all right with letting them go out in front of, if they play in front of the first team, go out in front of, say, 5,000 people who are going to be, if they're not doing well, they will know about it. Do you know what I mean? So there's such an inconsistency, I feel. Whereas when I came down, I didn't ever view myself as a first team player at Cov. Like I said, I couldn't grasp it. So when I get taken out of the team and I was playing reserve matches at Nuneaton, I don't know, not that I felt more comfortable, but I thought, do you know what, this might actually be my level at the minute, to learn more. Do you know what I mean? But obviously the way the club was at the time, they were cutting the budgets, and you know, it was going through a whole reshape type of thing, trying to get the big hitters off the wage books. So they were taking gambles on people like myself and seeing if it would work out.
So Shears, talk to me about you. You've got a cracking little claim to fame, haven't you? And
got a couple, mate.
on the pitch, and that's you once saved 2 penalties in a game.
Yeah, mate, that wasn't that long ago. Was that 2015, 2016, something like that?
Yeah, it's not very often that happens.
No, but again, this is what you're talking about with the football evolving. You know, you get all the videos and playbacks, and you've got club analysis. And to be fair, those penalty saves, I just went the way that the data had showed me, that the analysis had put to me. Do you know
Would
what I mean?
Look at that before any opposition? Then would that be something?
Every opposition, yeah. That's what I've done for the last sort of, I don't know, I'd say 5-6 years of my career, because it became very apparent that, you know what, this is actually useful.
Yeah.
You can actually read into this, and you can get like proper data. So I think it just up to chances. The first penalty was through all that data. The second penalty was just luck. You know, it was just luck. But yeah, it was I mean, yeah. What can you say? It's not as if it was like on a glorious, glamorous stage. It was at Mansfield. It was a horrible day. Like gale force wind, raining. I think I had hypothermia after the game. But again, though, I don't know. When I look back at my career, those are the moments that you look back on and you get so much more satisfaction from it.
Yeah,
it actually meant more to me than, say, playing in like a big stadium and, do you know what I mean, and not winning the game or something like that. That didn't mean nothing to me. I was always about, I want to win, and I'll do whatever I can to do that. So those moments really stick out. But yeah, it was good, mate.
You scored for Albion Rovers as well, didn't you?
Oh, Kieran. Gosh,
I didn't know this, mate. I didn't know this.
I don't like talking about it, mate. Jesus.
Why not?
The only goalkeeper to ever score at Hampden. Jesus, don't talk to me about it. Yeah, no.
Last minute equaliser.
Yeah, so again, this was crazy. So it goes into it like, so it was against Queen's Park, and Queen's Park actually own Hampden, right? They actually own the pitch. So we were in the 3rd division in Scotland, and playing in Hampden with 400 people there, like a 50,000 all-seater. So it was just so surreal. Last minute, came up, front post run, just shut my eyes, felt the ball hit my head, landed with like 5 players on top of me, seen the ball was in the net. It was like that sort of delayed moment where you heard, 2 seconds later, you heard like 20 people going, "Way!" And you're like, "Oh, I've scored!" And I was like, so you get up, I went to celebrate, and there was like nobody there. It was just seats, and it was like, oh, I'll just plod back to my goal then. Yeah.
So Shears, so within your football career and that, you've got loads of teammates and you've played with lots of different people and all that, and but who's sort of stands out for you in terms of you've sort of come across that you'll likely stay in contact with for a long time?
Well, yeah, obviously from my Coventry days, like, I mean, I moved away and then I ended up coming back and living for a while again, if you remember, not too long ago. And my daughter was actually born in Coventry, Scarlett. So obviously I've got that connection with, like, obviously we didn't meet through playing at a club, but from when I first joined yourself, obviously Peds, Chefs, Doyler, still in touch with. And that's like the core group. And then throughout my career, I mean, I've not, like you say, you meet loads of people, but I'm really happy. I'm really lucky in a way. I think I've come out of that career, and I've got some people that I could count on as like real, like, best mates, like mates.
Yeah.
People that I would, like, spend my time with. So I've got Moose as well, John Messinho. So I've got him, and there's a few others. John Dempster as well is another one he's like one of the youth team coaches at Coventry now. Demps, and I still keep in touch with Demps a lot.
So Shears, just talking about
guy. He's probably the funniest guy I've ever met in football, Demps, by the way. I'll just put it out there. But
so just going back to we went on Peter's stag do, didn't we? We went to Vegas, and I think, do you know what, was it the year before when it was the first time I met John Messinho?
Yeah.
Was it the year before, or was it Peter's stag do? I can't quite.
Yeah,
remember.
I don't think I couldn't go to Peter's stag do, could I? Because
that's right.
I think I was pregnant.
Yeah.
Wasn't allowed. I wasn't allowed. There you go. I said
it. But mate, you two, when you get together, are a bit of a kind of crazy combination, to be honest. And just talk me back, because I know he broke your nose, didn't he?
Yeah. I mean, it's a funny story with Moose, because Moose is a very posh Bucks boy, Buckinghamshire, and like his family's very well off. He's a real good guy, Moose. But when we met each other at Wickham, and when he came into Wickham, I hated him. Because I thought, he'd sit in the dressing room reading a newspaper. Like, I'm like, what are you doing, mate? Like, have a bit of banter with the lads. So it's funny, like, how we end up the manager at the time, Peter Taylor, he used to give us Mondays off if we won. It was quite old school, and I was still really old school, and I was at the stage of my career where I was doing really well, and I was loving it, like loving my. I went through a real bad stage, and then I sort of came out of that and back into a real stage where I was enjoying football, enjoying my life. So I'd moved down. I was playing at Wickham at the time. I'd moved down, and he'd said, "See you Tuesday, boys." And I was like, "Oh my god!" The next day was the Old Firm game, the first Old Firm game of the season. And I was like, "Oh, right, who lives local? I need to get an old day. I want a boozing session." So all my mates in the team at the time, I wasn't mates with Moose. All my mates at the time were like, "Nah, we've got plans, blah blah blah." And then I was like, "Oh, Moose is the only one left. I'll ask him." So asked Moose. He's came over, and long story short, like I was best man at his wedding, and he's like my brother now. But when we went to Vegas that time, so obviously I got really drunk, and I think after about an hour in the club, I was sleeping. And all of you lot were taking pictures of me and stuff, and I think I've sort of woke up and sort of swung an arm out, and I think I caught Moose in his balls. But obviously I've done it not even knowing, and I've sort of just sat there. And Moose said he just went, "Nah." So he just went crack, punched me straight in the face, and I was like, "What the hell was that? What happened there?" And obviously nobody told me at the time that Moose had hit me. So I went to the toilets and tried to straighten my nose up and all the rest of it. And I remember coming out, and there was a guy, Westy, who used to play at Walsall. Westy went, "What did Moose do that for?" And I was like, "What?" That was Moose. So yeah, I ended up trying to find him. I couldn't think he was hiding from me, and then I ended up getting, I was being a bit of an idiot, so the bouncers kicked me out. And then I don't even know what happened, because I lost my wallet, my phone. I had nothing on me. I was like, didn't know where I was. I was having a good night. Yeah, so yeah, he snapped my nose, good and fair.
Mate, I'll tell you what, I'll tell you what, mate. It's I think you're one of them people where everyone's got a crazy story about you in one way, shape, or form. And before we done this podcast, I said to you, we need to stick to the stories that we can get out there that are able for people to sit down and have a bit of a giggle through, but maybe not get to know the real Scott Shearer when he has his moments. So
God, I don't think that'd be a good sign.
But no, but mate, one of the other highlights of your career, I was doing a little bit of research and looking into your days, and you were in the PFA Team of the Year.
Yeah, so that was that year I met Moose.
Was it?
Yeah, that was that year. It was 2008-9.
Yeah.
Like I said, again, it all goes back to like footballers we're not an insecure bunch, but we're a bunch of people that we feed off positivity towards us. Do you know what I mean? So
yeah,
I had a manager that just loved me. The year before was wiped out. I had a fractured dislocation. I was 10 months out injured. It was my first proper injury. I went into depression. I was drinking a lot. Like Paul Lambert was my manager at the time, and he sort of gave me an ultimatum. He's like, "You either want to be a footballer here, you can go and be a drunk. Like,
really?
But I'm not going to let you do both."
Yeah.
And at that point, I sort of took my rehab seriously and sort of went on. But then the next season, he left and Peter Taylor came in. And he was just a manager that I clicked like that way. He loved my personality. There was managers previously, especially at my time at Cov as well, who did not like my personality, and it went against me. But I always thought, you know what, I'm just going to be me. I'm not going to change myself for somebody else. If they don't like me, that's just the way it is. You move on. But yeah, Peter Taylor loved me. We used to have banter every day, and we went the first 23 games of that season unbeaten. It was incredible. Wow. So it was an amazing first half of the season, and then I needed another operation on my ankle. But I think by February time, I was struggling to even just walk. I was trying to get through games with just painkiller injections before a game and stuff. It's stupid, really, when you think it, because I couldn't perform to like my best ability. I could hardly move my foot. But yeah, I had done enough. Obviously, I had a good clean sheet record. I think it was nearly 1 and 2 clean sheets I had that season.
Really?
And I got voted into the team of the year. And again, these are all things in your career. I don't think you fully take stock. You're just always trying to get the next high. Try to get the next
so that's
thing.
sort of voted by your peers, isn't it? That's voted by other players in that league.
All the players in the league, yeah. So I made obviously the goalkeeping slot. Either I had a lot of mates at that time in that league. But yeah, no, obviously I look back at it now and I just think, Jesus, like, I mean, I've not even got any medals, but I've gave them away because I don't know, at the time I didn't want to celebrate them. I was just always so hungry to, like, I want to go and do something else. I want to get more success, and I think that was part of my downfall as well, because you're always high.
So Shears, you've given us a real insight into life as a footballer there, your career, some of your off the field antics. But I know now, I mean, I've spoke to you a couple of times over the last few weeks or so, and you're so busy with, you're doing loads of coursework at the moment, and what you're up to now then, mate? Yeah,
so I'm a couple of months away from being a qualified financial advisor. So it's something, obviously, when you're coming to the end of your career as a footballer, the real difficult thing is to think, what do I want to do? Like, obviously, I could have went into a coaching career. I wouldn't have been happy. So I thought, I'm not going to do that. So I retired, like, took a 6 months of, like, just a bit of a stock. I was like, and I had a few things in my head that I was thinking, right, I could do this. And I was trying to make plans. And then this idea came into my head because when I was at Cov, I get stung by an advisor when I bought my house, and he rinsed me a fair bit. And I was like, it always put a sour taste in my mouth, about that industry. And then one of my ex-teammates, a guy called Daniel Nardiello, I spoke to him.
He's a Cov lad, Dan Nardiello.
Yeah, I think I know a lad called Jack Nardiello. Yeah, I think their dad was the England under-18s manager at one point. And Nardiello was. Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
So I spoke to Nards, and I seen that he was going through a coursework thing. So I was intrigued. I was speaking to everybody, speaking to you a lot about coaching stuff, about SoccerRockz and everything. And I was like, right. So, and Nard said to me, I'm doing this course with St James's Place. And I was like, all right, I'd heard of them previously, the wealth management company. And I was like, what's made you do that? And then he sort of went into it a little bit more, and the fact that obviously, he wants to be the person to give sound advice and, like, help people, and, like, not just sort of take money off people and move on to the next customer, but to build, like, long relationships with customers and his clients, and like, take them through their life stages and go into their retirement and make sure they're all, they're saving as much money and they're going into the best. Everything about it, my ears just pricked up. Something inside me was like, I think this is what I want to do. So I researched a bit about it, and I eventually get in touch with St James's Place. And it was funny because at the time I was like, I was lost in a way, and they sort of emailed me back, like, quite quickly, and they were like, "I'll send us your CV," and I was like, I've not even got a CV. All of these things. So I was like, and then it was the panic of, Jesus, how do you do a CV? So, well, yeah, and then I went through it was a real tough interview process, and I was so underprepared, but I've always just thought, just do it. Do you know what I mean? And learn from it. If it doesn't go your way, you've learned a lot of lessons through it. And I got through it, and I started the course. And so St James's Place do it's a second career process. So a lot of people sort of my age, a bit younger, a bit older, come out of all different backgrounds, and they sort of help you and go through the whole process with you. So they get you qualified through doing your exams. They give you loads of support through that, and then the process I'm in now is like learning how to sort of extract the best information from potential clients and be able to give them the best advice possible. So it's quite a intricate part of the course, and it's very intensive. But I'm loving it. I'm loving it. Like I've been retired now nearly a year, and I've not missed it once. So to me, I know that I've made the right decision. So by July, I should be fully qualified and hopefully getting out there and starting my new career.
Brilliant. Well, I would say, from your experience with the financial advisor and whatnot, it's probably put you in good stead in terms of, trying to help people, trying to, make people not make the same mistakes as what you perhaps did, or trust people. It's a difficult one.
And always, this makes me just always go back to my time at Cov, right? Because my time at Cov, although I wasn't earning loads and loads of money, is like you were still earning good money. Do you know what I mean? More than that I would earn going and starting another job somewhere else.
Yeah.
But I always remember at the time with chefs. Do you remember they had the Peugeot, the tank? You know what I mean?
Same colour as this t-shirt.
Yes, exact same. And we used to batter him, but chefs had it spot on. He was so clever and he was so switched on. And I think that's because he had his dad and that behind him, basically making sure he wasn't making them mistakes.
Yeah.
But I look now and I look back at the mistakes I made personally, and I see the mistakes still being made to this day with younger pros who are earning a lot of money.
Mm.
They're on 6-figure contracts.
Yeah.
They've got no family, they've got no nothing, they've got themselves, and they're spending silly money on a car that they're just paying on lease. So I sort of that was a big factor for me as well, because I thought, if I could get into these lads, make them understand my story from mistakes I've made, help them, and then hopefully when they turn 30, 35 and, contracts start drying up, they'll turn around and say, I'm really glad that I sat down with you and we've done this, because financially I'm actually quite secure until I find the next stage of my life.
Yeah.
That's a big part of what I want to do. And I don't want to just limit myself to footballers and sportsmen, but it's a big part of my life. It's been a massive part of my life the last 20 years. So I would love to be able to build those relationships with players and for them to feel the benefit of what I could do for them.
Well, mate, that's absolutely brilliant, because we kind of, what we're trying to do, Kieran and I, is speak to different people and look at the different areas of where the game can take you. And obviously that sort of financial support that you're going to be able to give these people is a massive area of their lives that they're going to benefit from. So brilliant, mate. That's fantastic.
Yeah, as well, like through my transition period there, Oxford were an amazing club for me. The manager was the same age as me, and he got it, and he was supportive for me. He was like, don't expect you in every day, because I'd said to him, I don't even want to play. I don't even want to be on the bench. Like, I would rather give the younger keeper the opportunity, because it will mean more to him. It doesn't really mean a lot to me now. I don't know why. The love just went. And so he was really good with me. But I mean, when you're finished, you're finished. It's like the army. When you've done your time, you're out.
Yeah.
You're on your own. Like there's nobody that help you. So I spent Christmas dinner with my friend's family down here this year, and my friend owns a recruitment agency, but he's in pharmaceutical recruitment. And I was chatting to him about my story, and he was like, and I was saying I'd love to be able to set something up to help either kids who are getting released from academies, or even if it's helping players understand the steps they need to take throughout their career, or to the stage they're at the end of their career and they don't know what to do and need some help. So we've set a company up now.
Brilliant.
Which is going to do this. So a big thing for me is that I don't want people to be, a lot of footballers don't value themselves in what skills they've got, what transferable skills they've got. You sort of look at it in a way where you think, just a footballer.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
But I think you're dead right. Them transferable skills. Yeah,
there's so more. Like you've got so many transferable skills into any sector. So that's one thing that we're actually doing just now. Like you're saying, we found, I think there's 7 sectors that most footballers will go into. So, it's you know what, it's exciting, because I think
it's a new chapter.
new chapter, and it's not just about me. It's about there's an opportunity to go and I really feel there's an opportunity to go and help a lot of people who are, especially right now in this moment in time, with who knows what's going on with football, but you know, a lot of people will be quite fearful right now. So I hope that it just brings an opportunity to people that I didn't have and people before me didn't have. So yeah, let's see how it goes.
Mate, I'm sure you'll make a success of it. I know what you're like. You're determined enough anyway, aren't you?
Yeah, you've got to be, mate. You've got to be in it. You're saying that, but even still, you know, you still fall into your, as a footballer, you get everything done for you apart from your backside wiped. And you don't realise it. You might think when you're playing football that you're independent and you're doing this and do you know what I mean? But you're not, because everything's still put on for you, everything's still organised for you. All you need to do is turn up. Just turn up and try your best. And you know what? The club's going to feed you, do everything for you, wash all your training,
wash your clothes.
Yeah, they're going. And there's been loads of times, obviously, you know, you can take a bag of washing in and just get your clothes done at the training ground. And, you know, all these kind of things. Like a football club is like, a good football club is like a family. And I think I got that when I moved to Cov, to be honest. I got that because there's a lot of local lads. And yeah, obviously you had Big Andy and George who just abuse you.
Well, mate, listen, I'm gonna wrap it up there because you've given us absolutely tons of your time, and I know you've got loads to do this evening. But mate, a massive thank you for joining us today. It's been good fun.
Yeah, thank you.
And good luck to all the kids that are listening to it. Yeah. Listen to your coaches.
We'll have to do it again once we're allowed to go out and do stuff properly.
Yeah, hopefully soon, mate.
Yeah, hopefully.
No, thank you.
Great to catch up with you, mate.
Cheers.
Thank you. Cheers.